Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
It's so good to have you guys all joining us for our virtual Seder. We've missed you so much since Hanukkah. And if you didn't join us for our Hanukkah special, my name is Brendan.
And I'm Reena, and we had so much fun on Hanukkah for the celebration, but we decided to have one for Passover too. We worked really hard to make sure that this one goes smoothly with no hiccups.
Our last time together was so fun, but so many things went wrong.
Oh my gosh. Remember I almost burnt the cookies?
Yeah, you did. And David hid the candles.
And you ate a bunch of gelt with the foil still on.
I did. It was not good. No, it wasn't good.
But now you're here. All the food is almost done. I checked the chairs and the Zoom rooms 3 times, and our friend Noah is on his way right now. Nothing can go.
Wait, hold on. Wait, Noah is calling us.
Why is Noah calling us?
Reena!
Oh.
Brendan! Something's gone wrong. I'm stuck in traffic.
Oh, buddy, it's okay if you're late. It's fine.
The cars aren't moving.
Oh.
The cars aren't moving. I've been sitting here for 30 minutes, and if I roll down my windows, everything gets so loud and I don't like it. I'm so bored. I've been sitting here for so long, and I hate it. And after all of that quarantining, I was also so bored. It's just going to go to waste because I'm not going to be able to make it for Passover. And then if I don't make it for Passover, I'm going to even find a way to get out.
Noah, it's okay. You'll make it.
How do you know? See? I'm going to be stuck here forever. I'm never going to
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. It's okay. What if you just got your mind off things?
How?
We could, Brendan, this wasn't part of the plan.
We could read you a story.
A story?
Yeah. Reena has all these books in her computer from school. I bet we could find one.
Okay, I'll try anything.
Okay, hold on. Noah, do you like spring?
Do I like it? I love it. It's my favorite season. I wish I could see some flowers right now. Seeing flowers bloom and the weather getting warmer makes me feel so good.
Here, just relax, turn off your video, and listen. And Then It's Spring, written by Julie Fogliano, illustrated by Aaron E. Steed. First, you have brown. All around you have brown. Then there are seeds. Oh, looks like he's putting a seed in the dirt. And a wish for rain. And there's the rain. And it is still brown, but hopeful, very possible sort of brown. Looks like there's a farm nearby, a bunch of dirt. Oh, looks like he's looking at something with his dog. And is that a little green? No, it's just brown, sort of brown. Then it is a week. Still sprinkling more of those seeds. And you worry about those little seeds. Oh, I wonder if they're gonna grow. And if maybe it was the birds. Look at all of them pecking the dirt. They're everywhere. Oh my goodness, and bears too? Or maybe it was the bears and all that stomping because bears can't read signs that say things like, please do not stomp here. These are seeds and they are trying. And then it is one more week. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen. And the brown, still brown, has a greenish hum that you can only hear if you put your ear to the ground and close your eyes. Whoa, you can see so many things in the ground. Look at that mouse. There's the tree. Ooh, and then it is one more week. I wonder what's gonna happen. And on a sunny day that happens right after that rainy day. And you walk outside to check on all that brown. There they go, about to walk outside. But the brown isn't around, and now you have green all around. You have green. Yes! Oh my gosh, look at that! Spring! Everything looks so much greener.
Mhm.
Oh man. I absolutely love that story. How cool was that?
Great
It
book.
finally came together.
That was so nice. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
I really like the part where the bears showed up because I love bears. They're my favorite.
That was hilarious. One was scratching his armpit with a sign.
Well,
Yeah. They were
Noah,
having a good time.
are you feeling any better about missing Passover?
Oh, I want to miss Passover. I mean, who's going to hide the afikomen? I mean, what about the harose? I mean, food and friends. And
You're just a teensy bit late.
Passover is my favorite. I don't want to miss it.
I promise, Noah, we'll figure this out together as a group. That's what friends do.
Brendan, our virtual guests are early.
Ooh!
Hi, everyone. Hi, happy Passover.
We're so excited. Noah, aren't you supposed to be at Reena and Brendan's house?
Oh no. Noah, what happened?
Stuck in traffic.
Oh.
He might not make it to Passover.
Don't remind me.
Is there anything that we can do?
Well, I was trying to distract him by reading him stories and it was working, but Brendan.
Sorry.
Well, wait, the stories were working?
Yeah, mostly.
Well, so then can we just read another one? Like, do we have time for another one?
Well, now I can't stop thinking about Passover, so...
Reena, do you have a Passover story?
I think I do. Brendan, can you read it?
Sure. All right. This is a good one, guys, so get ready for it because this is The Story of Passover by David A. Adler and illustrated by Jill Weber. Love those two. They're a great combo. All right, here we go. The story of Passover begins more than 3,000 years ago when Jacob and his family settled in Egypt. Jacob was called Israel, and his family were called the children of Israel. So they were also called Hebrews because of the language they spoke. Many years passed. Jacob and all his children had all died. To the Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, the children of Israel were outsiders. He was afraid that one day they would rebel. To control them, he made them slaves. He forced them to do hard work. They were beaten. Some were killed. Oh, Pharaoh, look at them all put to work. Not good. Not good at all. The wise men of Egypt told the Pharaoh that one day a Hebrew boy would be born who would lead the people against Egypt. They couldn't tell him which boy it would be, so the Pharaoh decreed that every newborn Hebrew boy must be thrown into the river and drowned. Jeez. Oh, God, look at that gator's going to eat the boy right up. Not good. One boy was saved. At first, his mother hid him. Then, when he grew too big to hide, she placed him in a small basket. She put the basket in the river. The baby's sister Miriam hid nearby to see what would happen. A princess, the Pharaoh's daughter, found the baby. She named him Moses and planned to raise him as her own child. And there he is, baby Moses in all his glory. Miriam ran to her. Should I get you someone to help you with the baby? Yes, the princess said. Miriam brought the baby's mother to work in the palace. Moses was adopted by the princess, but he knew he was one of the children of Israel. When he was a young man, he saw an Egyptian beat a slave. Moses attacked the Egyptian and killed him. Then he ran away. Moses settled far from Egypt. He married and worked as a shepherd. One day, while Moses was watching his sheep, he saw a burning bush. There were flames, but the bush wasn't harmed. Moses, Moses, a voice called from the bush. Yes, here I am. God spoke to Moses from the burning bush. He told Moses to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. And he started with the animals. Wow, look at Moses and his staff. Moses and his older brother Aaron went to the Pharaoh. They asked him to let the children of Israel go free. Pharaoh refused. He forced the children of Israel to work even harder. Moses and Aaron warned him that if he didn't let the Hebrews go, the waters of Egypt would turn to blood. The Pharaoh refused, and the waters turned to blood. Wow. That was the first plague to strike Egypt. Then there were 10. Frogs covered the land. A thick cloud of lice swarmed over Egypt. Ooh, look at those bugs. That looks itchy. Animals ran wild. The Egyptians' cattle became terribly sick and died. Oh. Oh no, I'm glad I'm not in the middle of a plague. A swarm of locusts attacked Egypt. Ooh, scary. It was dark as night in the middle of the day. Then came the 10th plague. One by one, the firstborn Egyptian sons died. The angel of death only visited the homes of the Egyptians. He passed over the homes of the children of Israel. The Pharaoh was frightened. He was a firstborn son. He called for Moses and Aaron. Leave now, he told them. Go quickly before we all die. The children of Israel left that very night. The next day, the Pharaoh had a change of heart. He and his army chased after the former slaves. The Pharaoh's soldiers had horses, and their chariots were getting closer and closer to the children of Israel. The Red Sea was in front of them. The soldiers were behind them. They seemed trapped. God told Moses to lift his stick and to spread his hands over the sea. Moses did, and the sea divided. The children of Israel walked through the sea on dry land. Victorious Moses! The Pharaoh's army followed them. Then when the soldiers were in the midst of the sea, Moses raised his stick again. The waters flooded together. The Egyptians drowned, and the children of Israel were free. Yay! On Passover, Jewish people all over the world celebrate their freedom from slavery and their beginnings as a great nation. Wow, and then here's a Seder in the back of the book. The Seder. The name of the holiday, Passover, was taken from the 10th plague, the deaths of the firstborns. The angel of death only visited the homes of the Egyptians. He passed over the homes of the children of Israel. Passover lasts for 8 days. On the first night of Passover, and in traditional Jewish homes outside Israel on the second night too, there's a special Seder meal. It begins with an invitation and a prayer. The invitation is for anyone who is hungry to come and join the Seder. The prayer is that in the coming year, all slaves will be set free. Children are encouraged to ask questions at the Seder and to listen to the story of Passover. At the head of the table is a Seder plate. On it are symbols of the day. There's a vegetable and salt water for dipping. The salt water is a reminder of the tears the slaves shed. The more bitter herbs on the plate are a small taste of the bitterness of slavery. Charaset is a clay-like mixture of apples, nuts, spices, and wine, a reminder of the clay the slaves molded into bricks. The roasted bone is a reminder of the Passover sacrifice. There's a roasted egg on the plate. An egg represents the children of Israel. It's the only food that gets harder, not softer, the longer it's cooked. And in Egypt, and throughout the generations, the greater the oppression, the more the children of Israel held on to their beliefs. On the table, too, is matzah, a flat kind of bread. The children of Israel left so quickly, the bread they were baking did not have a chance to rise. Matzah is the kind of bread they ate. Everyone at the Seder gets to drink 4 cups of wine or grape juice. When the talk of the 10 plagues begin, some wine is spilled in memory of the Egyptians who died so the children of Israel could be free. The end. Whew. And that is the story of Passover.
That's such a great story. It made me really excited about our Seder later.
Me too. I really liked the part where God called out to Moses from the burning bush.
That's one of my favorite parts of Passover too.
Noah, did that help you?
A little.
Aw. Hey, Noah, I know that celebrating virtually isn't the same as being together, but we love you no matter where you are, and we're just happy to celebrate anywhere, any way we can with you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. I'm still sad, though.
Yeah, and it's okay to be sad, even if you know things are going to get better later.
Yeah, it's going to take a miracle to get my mind off of this.
Wait a second. I have an idea for a story. Reena, is it okay if I share like one of my holiday stories, an Easter story?
Sure.
Awesome.
I'll listen to anything.
Great. Thank you guys so much. So my springtime holiday is Easter, which celebrates the life of Jesus. Jesus was a traveling Jewish teacher like a long, long, long time ago. And there are many stories about him performing miracles. Jesus was somebody who wanted to change people on the inside. And a lot of times to show the change that was happening on the inside, he changed their outside. It's very important to remember in this story because he heals and changes a lot of people on the outside. So if someone was blind, he would make them see. It didn't mean that there was anything wrong with the blind person. It was just he was showing them the change that was happening on the inside. And Jesus was so special because he loved and helped people no matter what, even when others didn't. So I'm going to share this story with you. Ooh. I need to turn off my video. Silly me. Here we go. And pulling it up. Okay. There's a little bit more about our Seder. There we go. This book is called Miracle Man, the Story of Jesus. Ages ago, in a dry and dusty land, the people were in need. The land was a sick place in need of healing. The land was a blind place in need of sight. The land was a thirsty place in need of water, the kind of living water that would last forever. On a day that didn't seem at all unusual, there came an unusual man. He looked like any other man, but he was like none who had ever lived before. This man was God's son. When he spoke, his word made things happen. His words came alive. The man found a group of hungry fishermen, frustrated with their empty nets. The man said, "Cast your nets on the other side of the boat." A fisherman named Simon, who was later called Peter, reluctantly obeyed, and his net came up bursting with fish. And the fishermen were amazed, and the man said, "Follow me, and you'll catch fish of a different kind." The fishermen followed the man. They traveled to a town. As they walked, a leper came alongside them. A leper was a person who had a disease called leprosy, and this was a long time ago before we had medicine or masks, so people often had to take them on the outside of the town, and they were not very nice to them. The fishermen kept their distance, afraid of the leper's disease, but not the man. Instead, he touched the leper on the face and tenderly put his arm around the sick man's shoulders. The leper knelt and said, "I know you can cleanse me if you are willing." The man was still for a moment, then said, "I am. Be clean." The leper, who now could be called by some other name, forever lost his leprosy. The astonished fishermen knew that this man was not like them. This man was a miracle man. Large crowds soon gathered to see the miracle man. The friends of a boy who was paralyzed hoped to get him to the miracle man, but the crowd was just too large. So the friends made a plan. Pulling back the tiles on the roof of the house where the miracle man was speaking, they lowered the boy down on a mat right in front of everyone. And when the man saw their faith, he said to the boy, "Friend, I am God's son, sent to heal and forgive. You are whole again." Not everyone liked the miracles or the miracle man. There were some in the crowd with fancy clothes who taunted him. "You claim to be God's very son. Are you a magician or just a liar?" And the miracle man stood quietly and then said to the boy, "Friend, I say, rise and walk." The boy stood up, gingerly at first, and then ran right past the taunters in their fancy clothes. Those men were very powerful, and now they were angry. They hated how much the people loved the miracle man. They knew he was trouble. One evening, the man told Peter to find a boat. He said there was work to be done on the other side of the sea. As the tiny boat set out, the waves began to grow, and soon a great squall was breaking high over the deck. And these fishermen were very good sailors, but the storm terrified them, and the wind and the rain raged all around them. But the miracle man was sleeping, so Peter cried out, "Don't you care if we die?" Well, the miracle man stood up, and he bellowed, "Be still," and the storm ended in an instant. The man looked at the trembling fishermen and said, "I am the son of the living God who made the water and the winds. Did you forget who was in your boat?" The man traveled from one dusty town to another. The fishermen, whom he called the 12 disciples, always followed behind. He covered the eyes of the blind with his hands, and they could see. The sick touched his robe, and they were made well. But the endless crowds made the man tired. One night he told the disciples, "I need to be alone for a time." So the disciples sat around their small fire together and worried. They said things like, "Will he come back? Why do we follow him? He said he's God's son." One doubtful disciple said, "These powerful men are very angry that he said he is the son of God. He should not say that anymore." In the morning, the disciples woke up to a delicious smell. The miracle man had returned and was cooking them fish. Handing them breakfast, he said, "It is time to return. There are many waiting who need to be fed." Indeed, the man found a gigantic crowd waiting for him nearby, and he stayed and spoke among them all day until it was very late. Finally, one of the disciples said, "We can never feed all these people. You should send them away so they can find something to eat." The man saw a girl with a small basket of bread and fish. "Child," the man said, "would you give up your basket if it could feed everyone here?" Peter laughed and said, "How are 5 loaves and 2 fish going to feed so many?" The child handed her basket to the miracle man. The man gave thanks and broke the loaves and the fish, giving some to each disciple to pass out to the crowd. He kept breaking and breaking and breaking and filled every mouth with bread and fish. "How is this possible?" they asked. The miracle man said, "I am the bread of life. With me there is abundance forever." The man was again tired and needed rest, so he sent the disciples on ahead of him to cross the sea once more, this time alone. As the hours drifted by and the wind blew cold, the disciples felt abandoned and scared. Then they saw a distant figure coming toward them. He was striding across the waves, and the disciples cried out in fear, "A ghost on the water!" A voice they recognized called back, "Take courage, it is I. Did you think I would leave you?" Peter leapt out of the boat. His feet held firm on the sea, just as if it were dry land. With his gaze fixed on the miracle man, he walked on the water. And then he looked down at his feet, amazed, and he started to sink in the rolling water. "Help me," he cried as his head went under. Quickly taking his hand, the man pulled Peter up to the surface and said, "Peter, have faith in my feet, not your own." After their journey, the man called his disciples together for a meal. He blessed the bread and wine and said, "It is time for me to leave you. I will be broken like this bread and poured out like this drink. One of you will betray me, and the flock will be scattered." The disciples were astonished and cried out in denial. As the shouting grew, the doubting disciple, called Judas, fled from the table. After dinner, as the disciples and the miracle man rested in an inky dark garden, everything changed. For a bag of silver coins, Judas had turned into a betrayer. He led the rich taunters and their soldiers to arrest the man. These powerful people with their fancy clothes were tired of listening to everyone talk about the miracle man. They feared that the crowds would no longer listen to them. The taunters had decided it was time for the miracles to end. Some disciples ran away, and some disciples fought. But the man raised his hand and said to them, "No more." To Judas he said, "This is your hour, when darkness reigns." Soldiers led the miracle man away into the shadows. The miracle man was sent to die. The disciples, who just wanted to be called fishermen again, were heartbroken. There he goes. It seemed that the miracle had come to an end. But God's son Jesus, the miracle man, had in store one last glorious miracle. The end. Thank you so much for letting me share that story with you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories. I really like the part where Jesus walks on the water.
Yeah. I really like when he reminds Peter to trust him and trust his feet, not his own.
Yes,
Yeah.
I also agree. Sorry, I got very excited because I did want to know how Noah was doing.
Oh, that helped a little bit. Every story helps me feel a little better each and every time.
Well, that's what makes stories so special. Every story helps us in different ways at different times.
Yeah, they really do. I'm ready for another one. Elizabeth Ann, can you tell us a story?
Sure. Since Reena, Brendan, and Alicia shared the stories for their holidays, can I share mine?
Please.
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Every spring, I celebrate the vernal equinox.
Ooh.
Yeah, those are big words that mean the day of the year when the daytime and the nighttime are equal. In my religion, I believe in a god and a goddess, and this day is also when their power is equal. But my religion is really focused on the interconnectedness of human spirituality. And we love to remember that every single one of us feels hope and a new life at this time of year. And celebrating the vernal equinox for me makes me remember that even after death or sadness or long periods of gloom, there's life and there's happiness, and it really gives me hope.
I really like that.
Yeah. I love that too. So that's why I am going to read In the Beginning by A New Beginning by Mary Pfeffer. And here we are, A New Beginning by Mary Pfeffer, illustrated by Linda Black. These are just a few things that celebrate spring: flying kites, new eggs, and birds and bunnies. Leaf buds uncurl on bare branches. Frogs leave their winter hideaways, hop to the nearest water, and lay eggs. Crocus tips poke through melting snow, woodchucks whistle, chickadees chirp, and dragonflies emerge from rivers and ponds. The long nights of winter shorten, and with more hours of sunlight, the weather warms. In the northern half of the world, winter gives way to spring. There's little beavers, dragonflies, and it's growing into a new green world. Robins wing their way back north, and animals give birth to their young. People prepare their fields and plant crops in the softening earth. And here we are, starting a little garden. As the bright sun returns, people open their windows to welcome warm breezes and clear out winter's dust. We pack away our bulky jackets and wear brightly colored clothing to match the fresh shades of spring. The days gradually grow longer, the nights shorter, until around March 21st, day and night are equal. On this day, the Earth is tilted so that the sun is directly over the equator. This day is called the spring equinox, meaning equal night. Winter's over, spring begins. In many cultures' calendars, the spring equinox marks a new year, just as January 1st is the beginning of our calendar year. For thousands of years, in different places and in different ways, people have celebrated spring as a time of new beginnings when the land becomes alive again. And so over to our right is a diagram of the equinox. So we are at the very top here, the spring equinox. We've just come out of the winter solstice. And our next holiday is going to be happening at the summer solstice, which is going to be the longest day with the most sunshine. We're going to go back down into the fall or autumnal equinox, back up into the winter solstice. I'm sorry, she's pointing to the summer solstice. Down here where she's pointing, that's the fall equinox. And day and night are going to be equal again, and then we're going to go into winter. Long ago, some say too long to be traced, the Chinese began celebrating the end of winter and a new beginning, spring. Today, the second new moon after the winter solstice still marks the Chinese New Year. Families clean their homes to sweep away traces of bad luck. They buy fruits and flowers, hang red banners with good wishes written on them. Dancers wear paper lion masks to scare away evil spirits and bring good luck. Children receive money in red bags, since red means good luck too. On the 15th night, people parade with paper lanterns while fireworks fill the air. Children cheer as long silk and paper dragons weave its way down the street to the beat of a drum. The dragon's appearance is a way of wishing peace, fortune, and good luck to all during the coming year. So we have our dragon lanterns. Over 3,000 years ago, the people of ancient Persia celebrated the spring equinox as a new beginning during Nowruz, which means New Year. Today, modern-day Iranians welcome spring just as the ancient Persians did. 10 days before Nowruz, they plant wheat or barley in a flat dish to represent new beginnings and the cycle of life. A few days later, colorfully dressed troubadours announce the coming of the new year. On Nowruz, families stay home and wait for the exact time the spring equinox begins. Many exchange gifts, think good thoughts, do good deeds, and eat candied fruits to sweeten their lives. They believe that joy and happiness defeat bad spirits. So we're going to dance and sing, plant. Over 2,000 years ago, the people of India celebrated Holi at the beginning of spring to ensure good crops. In Hindu mythology, Holika was a demoness who burned in a fire. Now during Holi, on the night of the full moon in March, the villagers light giant bonfires to represent the triumph of good over evil. The heat of the bonfire is a sign of the hot summer to come, and the villagers bury the ashes to grow better crops. The next morning, the mood changes from gloomy to jolly. People of all ages toss multicolored powder with glitter over each other and load squirt toys with red-tinted water to spray on anyone passing by. They all celebrate the coming of spring, singing and dancing with soaking wet rainbow-colored clothes. And many believe this was the origin of April Fool's Day, when people played tricks on one another. So we have Holika the demon in the fire, dancing, singing, painting, and holy. About 1,200 years ago, the Maya people in Mexico built many structures to map the cycles of the sun. Their existence centered on the sun and its effect on planting and harvesting. With their vast knowledge of astronomy, architecture, and mathematics, the Maya carefully planned and precisely built structures to predict the seasons. At Chichen Itza, they built the El Castillo Pyramid. Here, people can still witness an amazing feat. Each year on the day of the spring equinox, The afternoon sun makes shadows that look like the body of a snake over 100 feet long, slithering down the pyramid. At sunset, the body joins a huge stone carving of a snake head located at the bottom of the main staircase. Spring has arrived, and planting can begin. So at the top of the pyramid, in just a moment, she's going to point out the body of the snake. You can kind of see it over on towards the left side of the pyramid. There it is. So that's the snake. And it comes down to join the snake head at the bottom. Maslenitsa, or Pancake Week in Russia, dates back over 1,000 years. This 7-day sun festival celebrated the returning light. It bade goodbye to the long winter and hello to spring. Families ate warm, brown, golden pancakes that looked like the sun. The more butter they spread on each pancake, the hotter the sun was supposed to be during the coming summer. They enjoyed horse-drawn sleigh rides and a semicircular trail across the snow, symbolizing the sun's path across the sky. Today, families still celebrate outdoors. They dance, sing songs, jingle bells, enjoy hot tea, and of course, eat pancakes. At night, bonfires are lit, and brightly dressed scarecrows representing Lady Maslenitsa are tossed into the fire. When Maslenitsa is over, spring begins. I would love to eat pancakes with a lot of butter on them. But I had waffles this morning with butter on them, so I'll have to have pancakes for Maslenitsa. Almost 500 years ago, when the Cree Native Americans experienced long, hungry winters, berries, one of the first signs of spring, were an important sign of the warm season to come. They not only ate the berries, but because bears feasted on them too, the Cree knew where to hunt bears. They honored the first berries each year by placing them in a bowl, holding them high, and thanking the Great Spirit. The Jewish holiday of Passover, which we just talked about, celebrates a new beginning. Over 3,000 years ago, Hebrews were slaves in Egypt. After 400 years of slavery, they were finally freed. Each spring, on the first night of the 8-day holiday, families gather for a meal called a Seder. They eat special foods, sing songs, and retell the story of how they became free. Each food on the Seder plate tells a different part of the story. A lamb bone symbolizes the lamb that was sacrificed in the ancient temple in Jerusalem. A sprig of parsley dipped in salt water reminds Jews of the tears their people shed when they were slaves. Charaset, a paste of nuts, apples, and wine, reminds them of the clay the slaves used to make bricks. Bitter herbs recall the bitterness of slavery. Matzah, a flatbread, reminds them that there was no time for the bread to rise before the slaves fled Egypt. An egg symbolizes the new life that begins each spring. And this next slide is about my religion. Each year on the day of the spring equinox, ancient Saxons in Germany celebrated a festival for the goddess of springtime named Esther. Her earthly symbol was a rabbit. Rabbits and eggs were symbols of rebirth. Many Anglo-Saxons in England dyed eggs by boiling them with flower petals and leaves. Brightly colored eggs represented the bright sun of springtime. So I know lots of families dye Easter eggs, but that's where the tradition comes from. At the same time that pagans celebrated their goddess of springtime, Esther, Christians observed Jesus' new beginning when they believe he was raised from the dead. As more people became Christians, the name of the celebration changed from Esther to Easter. On the first Sunday after the full moon after the spring equinox, Christians celebrate Easter. Many worship outdoors at early sunrise services or in churches filled with flowers and glorious music. Children find Easter baskets filled with chocolate rabbits and colorful eggs, still symbols of Easter. Today, families of all kinds celebrate spring as a time of new beginnings. They plant flowers and vegetables, play baseball, ride bikes, fly kites, have picnics, enjoy the return of warm days, and welcome spring, a new beginning. And there's a little bit of this story left, but we don't need to read it. It just goes really into depth about all the traditions that are happening around the world.
That was awesome. Thanks for sharing your holiday story with us.
Thank you so much for listening. I really like talking about it with you.
I really liked learning about how all the different groups of people celebrate spring. That was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And the illustrations in all these books are really, really fun to look at.
Yeah, I just like that all of these stories. There's so much food. There's so much eating food, enjoying the food.
There's
Yeah.
endless food.
And I'm still stuck.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Noah.
It's okay. I'm still sad, but I'm so happy that you all shared your stories with me and helped me feel better. That really makes me, feel special and loved.
You are special and loved.
Thanks, everybody. Winter is just snow days. It's not just snow days. It can be super cold and dark and lonely and make us feel really, sad. But then springtime comes and helps us remember that things get better. And you all helped me feel better today, just like spring.
Aww.
Aww.
Yeah. Well, wait. Everyone, the cars are moving. The cars are moving.
Yes!
I'm coming to Seder. I can't talk and drive. That is super dangerous. So I will see you all soon.
Oh, that's awesome. Yay. Thank you so much, Noah. Thank you so much, TSquared friends, for joining us. But we have to get ready because our friend Noah's on the way.
Yes, no matter which spring holiday you celebrate, we hope you're happy, warm, and loved. See you later.
Bye.
Bye, guys.